I'm going to share my thoughts on the situation in Israel and explain why I think the political landscape as we know it here in the West is going to change dramatically. So first off, this is an issue that no matter what side you pick or choose or believe in, you are defying the political orthodoxy of both sides at once. Meaning, if you are pro-Israel, then you're a racist because you are supporting an apartheid state against brown people. And if you are pro-Palestine, then you are a anti-Semite because you're speaking out against the Jewish state. And this is a situation where clearly both sides in this conflict have responsibility and are at fault for it getting to the point where it's gotten, which for those who haven't followed it closely is probably the worst it's gotten in 50 years. Hamas's role in this is obviously beyond self-evidently disgusting and psychopathic. The videos of people spitting on the dead bodies of kidnapped women and parading them through the streets, it invokes the darkest parts of me in regard to what I think should be done to those people. And Hamas, which is the terrorist organization fighting for Palestinian freedom, allegedly, their explicit desire and goal is to kill Jews and wipe out Israel. So any defense of Hamas is, I think, psychopathic. And there are people here in the West who are defending them, and we'll get to that in a minute or two. But Israel clearly also has a role to play in this situation. Israel has treated the people of Gaza and the West Bank, which are the Palestinian territories, extremely poorly to say the least. They essentially live in squalor. They have horrific economic conditions. Israel controls the border and does not give them free movement. And the weird thing that I still do not understand how this is the case is the Israeli government allows Israelis to settle and occupy Palestinian land. So you are actually having actual colonization in this case, because colonization and, being oppressed is thrown around so loosely nowadays that we lose the meaning of it when it actually applies, like in the case of Palestine, where you have these Israeli settlers just coming in and taking people's lands. The UN regards it as illegal, and it still happens. And what's more, just as you have a small minority of Palestinians shouting death to Jews, death to Israel, death to America, you also have a small minority of Jewish people saying death to Arabs and all kinds of crazy shit. Because this is a violent, horrifying conflict, you will have the manifestations of the most violent and horrifying aspects of human behavior on both sides. That's just the case. And for someone to say, no, Israel is clearly in the right, or Palestine is clearly in the right, is just beyond foolish. And here's why I think the political landscape in the West is going to radically transform. You have this issue of Israel versus Palestine, which, again, defies the traditional political landscape, because if you're pro-Israel or pro-Palestine, you're anti-Semitic or you're supporting an apartheid state. The traditional dichotomy doesn't apply here. This conflict has been brewing for so long, but this issue has polarized it and catalyzed many people to pick a side. But they don't polarize along the traditional left and right political dichotomy. They polarize in a completely different direction. You have the ultra-pro-Israel people who are what? Are they extreme right-wingers? And then you have the pro-Palestine people who are what? Are they pro-Hamas? Because there are people in the United States defending Hamas. I saw that tweet about, well, what do you think decolonization meant? This is what it means, killing innocent women and children. There's people celebrating what's going on in Palestine as the resistance, calling the Hamas the resistance. And then you seem to have a lot of U.S. politicians just blindly saying Israel's in the right here and they're our friends and, they don't bear any responsibility in this conflict, which is like, what's going on?
This is not just an attack on Israel. This is an attack on America, because they hate us just as much. And what we have to understand is this is the reason that we have to unite around making sure our enemies do not hurt our friends. America can never be so arrogant to think we don't need friends, just like we needed them on 9/11. That's why Ukraine needs us when Russia's doing this. That's why Israel needs us when Hamas and Iran are doing this. And I'll say this to Prime Minister Netanyahu, finish them. Finish them. Hamas did this. Iran's behind it. Finish them. They should have hell to pay for what they've just done.
So a lot of people are going to reveal themselves for who they really are. Like, oh, we thought decolonization was this progressive idea to address the plight of black people, but it turns out people who just are like genuinely genocidal and support killing innocent people, they're the ones using that term. Oh, and we thought like Israel was our friend because they're a geopolitical ally, they're a democracy in the Middle East, but it turns out when they flatten Gaza, they're going to commit pretty bad war crimes, and how are we going to defend that? So there is a lot of chaos in this situation, and that is why it's important to speak honestly and say what you believe to be true, because that's the only option you have when there's complete insanity going on. And things are about to get much worse over the next few days for the people of Palestine in particular. So I will keep an eye on it. and hopefully some solution presents itself. I don't know what that solution is. It has to involve dialogue, because the only alternative to violence is dialogue. So you can meme it all you want, but Jordan Peterson's call to action for some Israeli and Palestinian to get together to develop some sort of social media platform specific to facilitating dialogue between these two sides seems like the only option right now. Otherwise, mass casualties, which is probably going to happen. So we'll see. Good luck and Godspeed.